Hello guys and girls, welcome back to my vlog with me and Jenny. My vlog is sponsored by at 12 Truth Hurts. I can't even get my words out. At 12 Truth Hurts on Twitter, a Twitter account where you can tweet in your quotes. Your quotes will be tweeted out daily. All the information you need is going to be in my description box. Be sure to check them out and give them a follow. Super. Now that's out of the way, I would really like to speak about social anxiety in this vlog, and I've listed kind of 3 major social anxiety traits, I guess, that I really want to talk about, that I've got quite a bit to talk about, and I actually have them on a piece of paper in front of me just in case I forget what I want to say, or I don't mention things, just to give me pointers and little tips to stay on track. So the first one that I really want to speak about, and I've talked about this quite a lot in my vlog, and I've been quite open about this, is masking. Masking in social situations is one of the biggest things that I do, and I think that's why it is so hard as a female to get diagnosed, because I have learned so much. A lot of my masking is literally just watching my peers, or watching whoever I'm with, people that I'm with, my peers, whether they're my age or whether they're older. I've already said that I prefer to be in the company of either younger people or older people, and not necessarily people of my own age. And I don't know why that is. I just think maybe it's because it just makes me feel like I don't know what to do in that situation when I'm faced with people with my own age. It's just so much easier for me to talk to younger people and older people. I don't know. But masking, I kind of just look at who I'm with, who I'm around, and it's all the things that I have learnt and learnt behaviour from those people. So how they socialise, I kind of watch, I observe, and then you kind of almost emulate that person's traits on yourself, or the way that they socialise on yourself, to become socially acceptable in everyday life, in everyday social situations. And I do this a lot, and masking is really quite dangerous, I think, because, like I say, it's a hindrance when it comes to diagnosis, because you've almost learnt to be an actress, because you're somebody that you have to be to sort of fit into this square box that society says this is how we're meant to be, and so you hide those difficulties, you hide your traits, your own quirks, your own traits, the things that make you unique. You almost hide those because you think that actually if I show this, people are going to think I'm so strange, or I'm weird, or no one's going to want to be my friend. And so you hide all those things, and you copy other people's behaviour to hide yourself almost. And I think for me, definitely masking has I guess kind of made me question along this process, and along the process of getting a diagnosis, has made me question, actually, who am I? Because if I strip away everything that I've learned from other people, from friends, from people I've just met along the way, or out in town, and I've just, I've kind of just observed people, if I strip all of that back, well, who am I? And it leads to kind of like an identity crisis, because then you don't actually know who you are or what you're about, because you've been hiding that for so long, you've been masking that for so long, you don't know who you're meant to be. So masking is a massive social anxiety trait for me. Another one is socialising. Now, many of you know that I've spoken about socialising before. I don't really socialise very much, and when I do, it's very much planned. Routine comes into socialising a lot as well. I don't really socialise very much with groups of people my own age, my own peers, my own age. It's more people who, like I've said before, younger people, older people, because I guess then you don't feel so much pressure. I don't know, you just don't feel so much pressure to fit in, I guess, with those people, because they're not bothered, like, to be honest, I'm not really that bothered either. I'm really not. But I always fear that I'm going to say the wrong thing in social situations, and I guess masking is a massive part of socialising. They kind of all roll into one thing, and you know, it's each different trait is linked to another trait. So, you know, one trait isn't just going to stand alone. They all kind of overlap, if you see what I mean. Yeah, so it's socialising is all about scripted and learnt behaviour. So a lot of the time, what I say or I don't know how I act, it's all kind of scripted, and it's like I have in my brain like a script of, right, this is what we talk about. If we're talking about the weather, this is what I say. If somebody says, how are you? You just say, oh, I'm fine, because it's in my brain. That's what I say. It's an automated response. It's just there because every time I ask somebody, oh, how are you? And they say, oh, I'm good, thanks, or I'm fine, thanks, you. And then that's what you reply. So I automatically do that. And it's just all these things that you have over the years learned, and you've just kind of picked up, and you just plonk it in conversations, and you just know where to slot it. So it looks like all of your socialising, all of your conversations are just so totally normal, and they just run normally, and it doesn't look like, oh, she's having to think about that, or, you know, because you've already got it, you know what you're going to say because it's in your brain, it's in that script that you've learned from all these learnt behaviours. And I think also the fear of socialising, masking definitely comes into this. There is kind of a fear of socialising, I guess, because I was always at school, I was always the quiet one, and I think even still now, I am definitely the quiet one. I think, I don't know what it is, but socialising, I'm better at it if I'm in a small group. So if there's 2 or 3 people and myself, that's totally fine. I'm fine with that. But it's when we go into big group situations or environments, and then I just totally lose the plot, because then I don't know what to say. It's almost like, well, what do I say now? What do I do now? How do I act? Like, it's like my brain stops almost processing that situation, so then I don't actually know what to say. I don't know how to be in that situation. But if I'm in a one-to-one situation, people would be like, well, hang on a minute, she's fine, she's communicating with me really well, you know, like she's giving me, you know, a bit of eye contact, because I can give a little bit of eye contact. I've said before, you know, there's certain limit to my eye contact, but I will give it you. You know, and there are times, you've seen in my videos, that I look away, I look around, you know, I look like I'm talking to about 10 different people, and I'm not. I'm just here by myself talking to you guys. But all of those social things kind of go out of my brain if I'm in a massive group situation, and then I almost sort of shut down, I guess, because my brain is processing not just the conversations that you've kind of got to keep on top of, especially if you're in a group that, you know, other people can be having a conversation, and then these people can be having a conversation, and you've got to kind of keep track of like 7 conversations at the same time, and my brain cannot process that. So my brain almost shuts down. So you've got all the conversation, you've got all the noise that creates, especially if you're in like a big place. So you've got the environment to think about, all the conversations, the lighting, all sorts of things. And it's not just one thing. It's not just the conversation. It's not just being there. It's not just thinking, right, well, what do I say? It's all of these factors. And I think once my brain gets to the point of like, well, actually, no, I've had enough now, my brain just switches off, and I switch off. It's almost like I just switch off. And then I just don't say anything, and people think, oh, she's quiet. Oh, she's all right. Why aren't you talking? And you realise then that like you can be sat there for an hour, and sometimes I've not even said one word. Maybe the only thing that I've said in that whole hour sitting there is, oh, are you all right? Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. Maybe that's all I've said in a whole hour, and I just sit there and I listen to everybody else, and I listen to the conversations, but sometimes I don't take those conversations in. I'm just kind of there. And I've said this before, I have like hypersensitive hearing, especially to sounds and stuff like that. So I hear absolutely everything, and I can't shut that off. I can't just turn off all the background noise and listen to this one noise or listen to this one conversation. I hear absolutely everything all around the room, everywhere, or outside in the environment. I hear everything. And so, you know, sometimes I don't participate in a conversation, but I can hear all the conversations in the whole room, and I don't want to hear them. I just can't not hear them. And so I know a lot more sometimes than I let on. But, you know, it doesn't mean that I'm present in any of those conversations. It doesn't even mean I'm present at all. I could just be sitting there with this face on, this mask on, and just in my own world, trying to escape from this world, I guess, especially because I read a lot, and that's what I do. I sort of tend to read my book, and that's it. So socialising. So the third and final social anxiety that I want to talk about is selective mutism. And I guess I hadn't really noticed that I do this until recently, and it's just something that's fascinating for me, that I kind of, I guess, need to almost research more and find out more about, and I don't know, I like to research things, and I like to find things out, I like to find the facts and stuff, so it's something that I'm going to definitely be researching more of. But selective mutism in social anxiety, for me, it's like I've already said, it's not being able to speak in big groups, but being able to speak on a one-to-one basis and being absolutely, totally and utterly cool. I've talked about the environmental issues and the processing, and I guess the pressure to make a conversation, or to start a conversation, or to engage in a conversation. The most typical thing with autism and the spectrum is that, you know, that we all we have our own interests, and all we want to talk about is our own interests. All we want to do is talk about what we like. I guess for me, that's not really true. I don't really like to even talk about me. I don't really like to talk about my life. I kind of like to keep me to me. Like, I like to keep myself to myself. I don't really like to speak about me. I don't like to be the centre of attention. So I'm completely opposite in that respect. But I don't like to make a conversation. I know how a conversation goes. It's two people or maybe three people, and, you know, it's back and forth, almost like a badminton match, you know, where you kind of like hit the shuttlecock and they rally it back, and it's that constant back and forth. But for me, I find it so difficult to make a conversation, especially if I don't understand what the conversation's about, or it's something that I have no understanding of, or I'm not interested in, and I find it really difficult to be in that moment and to be engaging and to know what to say. Then I feel awkward. So I almost sometimes take myself out of that situation and I don't engage in a conversation. And some days, especially if I'm having a really, really bad social day in terms of verbally, in terms of not being able to speak properly, or not being able to almost formulate a sentence where it makes sense from start to finish, then I take myself away and I don't speak. I had a day the other day when I was in the workplace, and it's the first time really in the workplace that I've completely shut off in terms of not speaking to, you know, my colleagues in the staff room when we've had like breaks and stuff. You know, normally I am kind of chatty, but in my own respect, I guess. You know, I am a happy-go-lucky person. You know, people know me for that. So people don't know me necessarily for being absolutely, completely shut down and quiet. You know, and maybe that would worry people. But so I kind of kept my verbalising for when I really, really needed that verbalising, and when I didn't need to verbalise, even if like it was in break times and with my colleagues and friends, I still didn't speak because I felt I couldn't speak. I couldn't put together a logical sentence. I didn't want to try to hold together a conversation. I just kind of wanted to be left alone. So selective mutism is a massive social anxiety trait for me. So I'm interested to know what your social anxiety traits are. Do you relate to the three that I've spoken about? If you do, drop me a comment in the comment section below. Be sure, if you like this video, to press like and to also press subscribe to my channel. Find all the details down below in my description box, I nearly forgot what it's called, about who sponsors me, and what I've spoken about in this video. I'm curious to know what you think, but I'm going to see you guys very soon for another Just Jenny. Bye!